All right, let's just dive right in. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unpacking a seriously comprehensive, highly structured toolkit for personal growth. If you've ever felt stuck, or if you simply want to optimize your path forward and learn a bit more efficiently, well, these 5 pillars of progress are exactly what you need.
So, if you knew you absolutely couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Seriously, I want you to just pause and really think about that for a second. Most of us have an answer hidden away somewhere, right? Even if we've never actually said it out loud. That answer, the one that makes your heart beat just a little bit faster, is your dream. And posing this question sets the absolute perfect stage for our journey together today.
Here's the roadmap for this explainer. We're looking at 5 pillars that logically build on each other to create real, visible progress. Number 1, the map, defining your dream. Number 2, mindset, rewiring your thoughts. Number 3, action, building genuine confidence. Number 4, engine, choosing lasting discipline. And finally, number 5, compass, learning from failure. Let's jump in.
First up, Pillar 1, the map, defining your dream.
You know, there's this dangerous misconception out there that dreaming is just some luxury for the privileged, or maybe something we're supposed to leave behind in childhood. But actually, a dream is a necessary map. It gives your life absolute direction. Without it, your life just kind of becomes a series of reactions instead of a purposeful story. As Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Dreams aren't a distraction from your reality, they're the true destination you're aiming for. To really ground this idea, let's look at NASA engineer Mae Jemison. Growing up in Chicago in the 1960s, the idea of a black woman becoming an astronaut was, well, considered almost impossible. But she dreamed it anyway. Through the 70s and 80s, she just relentlessly studied medicine and multiple languages, and boom, by 1992, she becomes the first African-American woman in space. Her dream didn't ignore her reality, it moved right through it with extraordinary determination. So we've got to shift our paradigm here. A fantasy is something you just sit around thinking about. It stays a wish. But a dream requires a willingness to actually begin with imperfect, daily action. We're talking writing one paragraph, learning one new word. It's those small commitments compounded over time that turn a fantasy into a living, breathing plan.
Let's transition over to our second pillar, mindset, rewiring your thoughts. So, once you have that map, your dream, you have to deliberately build the mental environment to achieve it. Henry Ford absolutely hit the nail on the head when he said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Your internal narrative actively and measurably shapes what becomes possible for you. And look, it's not about self-deception or pretending difficulties don't exist. It's about choosing to approach challenges with a firm belief in your own capacity.
For decades, positive thinking was completely written off as just, unscientific wishful thinking. But we are debunking that myth right now. According to psychologist Barbara Fredrickson's Broaden and Build theory, positive thinking genuinely expands cognitive function. When we feel hopeful or confident, our brain actually processes information more flexibly and generates more creative solutions. The mind isn't just a passive receiver, it's an active participant. And the absolute best part? It is highly trainable.
Okay, so how do we actually train this? Well, there are 2 incredibly accessible tools to literally alter your neural pathways over time. First up, a gratitude practice. Just writing down 3 specific things you appreciate every week genuinely improves your energy and optimism. Second is cognitive reframing. When things go wrong, instead of asking, "Oh, why does this always happen?" deliberately ask, "What can this teach me?" This single shift in language changes the brain's response from a threat to a challenge. Moving right along to Pillar 3, action. Building genuine confidence. Listen, confidence isn't about knowing everything or being completely flawless. It's really just the quiet, stable belief that you are capable of learning, growing, and handling whatever comes your way. Dale Carnegie said it best, "Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage." This completely shatters the myth that confidence is some fixed trait you need before you start. The truth is, confidence doesn't arrive before action. It's a feeling that grows directly from taking action. Take this super inspiring story of Demosthenes, right? One of history's greatest ancient Greek orators. As a young man, he had a severe stammer and was literally terrified of speaking. But just look at his action plan. He practiced speeches on the noisy beach, he placed small stones in his mouth to force clear articulation, and he returned to the public stage over and over again. His confidence wasn't a starting condition. It was the direct result of chosen, repeated action. And here is another really fascinating takeaway.
confidence is actually built in the body, too. Harvard research by Amy Cuddy shows that your posture and physical bearing actively create confidence. Standing tall, making eye contact, breathing steadily, these aren't just the consequences of feeling confident. Surprisingly, they are the causes of it. You literally command your nervous system through your physical bearing.
All right, on to Pillar 4, engine, choosing lasting discipline.
So, you've got the map, you've rewired your mindset, and you're taking action. But what actually keeps you going when that initial excitement inevitably fades? That crucial engine is discipline. Jim Rohn said it perfectly. We must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is temporary, but regret lasts a lifetime. Discipline isn't glamorous, it doesn't trend on social media, but in the long run, it is the single most reliable predictor of meaningful progress in absolutely any area of your life.
We really have to separate motivation from discipline here. Motivation is just an emotion. It's temporary. It naturally retreats when the work gets hard because, let's face it, the brain wants to conserve energy. But discipline is a durable system. It functions completely independently of your mood. I love this paradox from Navy SEAL Commander Jocko Willink. Discipline equals freedom. When you are disciplined about your study, your health, or your time, you actually create true freedom in all other areas of your life.
66. Yep, we are officially busting that famous 21-day habit myth today. Research actually shows it takes an average of 66 days for a new behavior to become truly automatic. The absolute biggest mistake people make is starting with these massive, ambitious plans that inevitably collapse. The secret? Start with embarrassingly modest micro-habits, like 10 minutes a day. Small, sustainable habits are just so much more effective. And once you hit that 66-day mark, maintaining the discipline requires almost no conscious effort.
And that brings us to our final pillar, compass, learning from failure.
Because when your disciplined routines inevitably hit a roadblock, and trust me, they will, you have to know how to navigate that failure. Winston Churchill summarized this beautifully. Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. We are so often taught to hide failure or minimize it, but failure isn't an endpoint. Instead, it's a remarkably precise source of information that success alone simply cannot provide.
This idea is beautifully backed up by Carol Dweck's famous Stanford research, where she compares a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Basically, if you have a fixed mindset, you treat failure as a verdict, a final sign that you lack intelligence or talent. But if you have a growth mindset, you treat failure as a signal. It reveals your assumptions, your gaps, and the exact areas where you need precise improvement. Consider this story. Back in 1962, at a startup called Fairchild Semiconductor, there was a massive failure that resulted in defective microchips and literally hundreds of hours of destroyed work. But the manager didn't lose his mind and yell. Instead, he treated those destroyed chips as highly valuable data to learn from. He said, "Now we know one more thing that doesn't work. Let's figure out exactly why." That manager was guiding a young engineer named Gordon Moore who used that exact lesson to shape a legendary career, eventually co-founding Intel. So how do we systematically learn from failure like that? By using a highly actionable 3-step framework. Step 1. Pause. Give yourself a moment to actually feel the disappointment without acting on it right away. Step 2. Analyze. Ask exactly what went wrong. Was it preparation or just circumstances? And step 3. Redirect. Create one concrete adjustment for next time. We're not talking about a total overhaul here, just one smart improvement. We have built the ultimate structure toolkit today, moving all the way from your map to your mindset, your action, your engine, and finally your compass. So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. What one small step will you take today? The world really doesn't need more people playing it safe. It needs people willing to build on their potential. Take that step, start imperfectly, and keep moving forward. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.